Hi folks, Thomas Henson here with thomashenson.com, and today is another episode of Book Club? I don't know, still don't have a name for this, but today I'm going to be reviewing Living with a Seal. Awesome book. Let's find out all about that right after this. All right, so today in this episode where I'm reviewing a book, so I am on a mission. I think if you've watched my goals for 2019, heard me talking about how many books, I want to try to read. Missed my goal last year, but we're chugging along this year, trying to get to the halfway point. So the book that I'm reviewing today, really good, was actually referenced and referred to me by Erin Banks. So you've seen me do some videos with her with the Big Data Beard team where we went through the machine learning course, and her and I have talked about some certifications. So the book that she recommended was Living with a Seal, 31 Days of Training with the Toughest Man on the Planet. I will say throughout the whole book, you never know who that person is, but I know who it is. And if you Google around, you can find out. But the real premise of the story was it was not written as a book. I think it started out as a blog. So Jesse Itzler, so he's really famous in entrepreneurial. He's been involved with Zico Water and NetJets. And actually when he wrote this book was when he was really going through the big push for Zico Water. So you get to see a little bit of behind the scenes of what was going on from a business perspective. But it's not a business book per se, right? So he's an ultra runner. He's an adventurer. He was actually on MTV, so I think he was a musician at some point back, I guess, when I was young, or maybe a little bit older. But either way, like the premise of the book is he's in a little bit of a funk, right? So he's a ultra runner, and he really wants to push the limits. So he's doing his business and running his day job there. He's also got a son and a wife, and he's just kind of in a rut, like we all seem to get, right? Like as we go through phases in our career. And so he just wants to jumpstart himself, like to push himself really hard. So he meets this SEAL at an ultra running event that he's talked to a couple times, and he convinces him to come live with him for 30 days. The caveat is he must do everything the SEAL says when the SEAL says, as far as, getting everything going. So he's still able to work, still able to do everything, but SEAL follows him around for 30 days and they come up with some crazy workouts. Going throughout the book, you hear crazy workouts that they do. It's really awesome. Actually trying to take some of those in my own day-to-day, activities and really trying to push the limit. But it was really cool just to see how Jesse, who was probably already more fit than I was at that, at that time and even now, and how he felt like he was in a rut. So it's kind of like, gives you that perspective of we all feel at times that we're not doing as much as we could, whether it be from gym, whether it be from learning or anything like that. And you've got to try some crazy things to really get you out of your rut. And also, one of the things I followed Sealed out after the fact, but one of the things you really kind of follow through this is, you have to do something that sucks every day. And if you do something that sucks every day by volunteering, right? Like, you're volunteering to do some kind of crazy workout, right? Like maybe you're going to go do 20 miles or 10 miles or whatever your craziness is for that day. If you volunteer to do those things, it makes it a lot easier to do the things that you have to do in life, whether it be around the house or family or, in your career. And so that's the really cool portion that I really took away from the book. But let's go through a couple other things that I really like. So they go through the background for both Jesse and the SEALs. Jesse's background was pretty cool, where he talks about some of the things that he kind of hacked his way. So like think of hiring a SEAL to come live with you for 30 days. That's it's kind of like a life hack, right? But it's different ways of experimenting and getting things done. And so he brought that, into his business life as well. And so, he talks about how, he took chances on, getting contacts and meeting people throughout his career. And then also Seal goes into some of his background and all the things that he's gone through. And, it's pretty cool. He's living with a Navy SEAL and they're following around and doing workouts. So it's really, really cool. It's the workout and the mindset thing that really challenges Jesse and really kind of shifts his focus, right? Like when he goes into it, I think they start off doing, Seal wants to see, how many pull-ups he can do, how many push-ups he can do. And he kind of, gauges that test. And they also do some running things because, running was a big focus of it. But when he goes in, Jesse can't do like 100 pull-ups. But they test out, they do how many ever pull-ups he can. And then Seal's like, hey, do 100. We're not leaving this gym until you do 100. So, it really kind of refocuses the mind where it's like, hey, I mean, you have something that you have to do and you're going to do it, right? Like no matter how long it takes. Jesse was able to kind of break through and do that. And I mean, kind of back to the reader, if you're reading it, it really kind of gives me that mindset too, to really push. And so, I've done a lot of cool things since reading the book, where, maybe even setting a timer and trying to do just some workouts in a hotel or while I'm on the road, or, even here in the Big Data, Big Questions office too. It really gives you an opportunity to really push and kind of do those things that suck, and you feel good afterwards too. So some of the coolest workouts that I wanted to pick out, the burpee test. The goal is to get like 10 to 12 minutes. So you do 100 burpees. Jesse did that between meetings. So SEAL made him do it between meetings. I think he was, in his full get. I don't know if he wears a suit to work, but I mean, he had some kind of button down, it seemed like, when he was talking about it. The 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. So that they scaled up to this. I think they started off with 2 miles every 2 miles every 4 hours for 24 hours. But at the end, what they did is they were doing 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And so I think that essentially turns into a marathon or 2 marathons. Really bad. Yeah. But that was a really cool workout. Also, there was just working their way up to doing some of the push-ups too. So it was pretty cool. Jesse, I think at the end, he got like 200 push-ups in a day. So just being able to kind of test and do those things. A lot of the stuff you can hear on Joe Rogan's podcast too. So like Jesse actually appeared on there and told some behind the scenes stories around some of the things that he and SEAL did. And toward the end of the book, you still don't get to know who SEAL is. But if you watch Joe Rogan, or if you subscribe to this channel here, we're going to review a book and I'll tell you who was the SEAL if you haven't already Googled it and found out as well. So would I recommend this book? Hell yeah. I mean, it was pretty awesome. You get to go through and, see what a normal life for all of us are, as far as like work and, and family and doing things like that. And then see what happens when you insert a SEAL that's going to really kick you in the rear and get you rolling through, doing things that suck, and see what it kind of does to you. So, I mean, maybe that's why Zico Water was so big. I don't know. Probably not. Right? I think Jesse would have been successful either way, but it was really cool to see it all kind of go down around that same time. And then second off, I mean, it's really going to challenge you to do things outside your comfort zone, right? Like, we've talked about it a lot here. One of the things that I've really been pushing and working on the last couple of years is speaking, right? And I'll tell you, I mean, it's a challenge to get on stage in front of, 100, 200, 300, whatever your limits are, and keep pushing those limits. But I really can say, had I not probably been gaining confidence by doing things that get me uncomfortable, in the gym or, running and doing those other things, I think that really kind of translates into what I'm trying to do from hey, you don't want to get up and do 30 minutes of learning. Well, too bad, just do it, right? Like, it gives you that mindset where you're like, all right, I'm already doing these other things, from a health perspective in my life. So what can I do to feed my mind, or what can I do to challenge myself within my career? So it doesn't have to be speaking. It's just, for me, that is. So definitely check out this book. And then the book that I read right after this one, I'm going to follow it up here, called Can't Hurt Me. Find out more about that one next. But I definitely recommend this book and recommend pushing yourself outside your limits. Until next time, see you again on Big Data Book Club. We still need a name.